so some of you know I already been through this once before. I actually did get thrown out of college for hacking the mainframe server. So,
Changing grades?
Nope, just hacking it. Someone said I could, so I did. So that's what we're going to talk about is security. So here's an interesting question. How many people know what the most used password ever on the planet? Password, that's right. What's the next one? No, 1, 2, 3, 4, exactly. So we're going to talk about security and why it's so important. Here's an interesting thing. I got an email from my son's teacher. She liked to send an email, let people know what was going on. She turns around and says, hey, look at all the addresses she just put into the to box. I now have 50 addresses. So I'd been asking her repeatedly, please stop doing that. Please use the BCC field. That way no one can see who you're talking to. She ignored me. She did it to the third time. So I took every address on there, processed them through the computer on the internet, and sent back all the personal information for the people that just came up, including salaries, home addresses, phone numbers, properties, investments. Yeah. She was probably not going to be too thrilled about it until she realized that hers was on there at the very end. She sent back a very polite thank you, and that was the end of it. So here's the interesting thing. When you start communicating with people, you got to remember that it seems innocuous to give up just a simple email address. But with just one email address in the state of Arizona, just as an example, I can get your name, your age, your date of birth, your property, your phone number. Once I have any of that, then I can hack your life. How long did it take me? 32 seconds. Yeah, see? So when you give up this information, that's the problem. People don't realize. So we're going to talk about things like passwords today. What is a good password? Anyone have an idea? Squiggly lines, exactly. For those who've seen me, I use lots of squiggly lines in my passwords. Passwords, minimum 8 characters. Should be upper and lower case. Should have numbers and letters. Of course, well, symbols, yes, and that's squiggly lines usually. You also use a little triangle that points up, that's called a caret. Squiggly lines called a tilde. And of course, you know what all the other fun ones are. Now, how often should you be changing your password?
Monthly. Every 90 days.
Are you kidding? I can't remember all that.
Exactly. That, unfortunately, that's the problem is people are like, well, I can change it, but then I don't remember it, so I write it down. So then they have this log of things, and where do they keep the log of all their passwords?
Right where the computer is.
Right next to the computer. We have a saying in the computer industry, possession, all bets are off. Meaning, if I have the computer in my possession, I can hack it. I can open it, I can do anything I want, I can reveal all your passwords, your history, and God help you if you're looking at something inappropriate, because I will know. Yeah. How about less than 18?
That's inappropriate.
That would be inappropriate, exactly. But the good news is, you can take measures to get this done. One, you can keep, there's a program out there, there's several of them actually, that will let you keep your passwords in a password vault. So you only have to remember one really big password, and then you can open it up and get to the rest. You can do some pretty heavy encryption. I know we've done this for some other members here where we can seriously encrypt your hard drive so that you can hide your information in there. So even if someone like me comes in, we can't just get to it. We have to know the passwords, we have to know all the fun stuff to get to it. So, when you're surfing on the internet, what's another security issue you have to be concerned about?
Cookies.
Well, cookies not so much. Cookies just kind of track where you've been. They don't really give up any real information. How about online banking? Everyone pay a bill at least once, check your statements every day, weekly, whatever. Yeah. Has the bank ever told you to change your password?
Yep.
How many times?
3.
3. Well, you realize that once someone has your general password, and this is the unfortunate part about humanity, we tend to favor certain things. So we get the dog's name, the kids' names, the family's 3 initials. So you take the first initial of every child and all the family members. Every one of these things are known to people that hack. So they understand how easy it is to get in because you have favorites. Once they pick one, They have all the rest. So when you have passwords, you actually need to keep multiple passwords because your online banking is usually the one that you favor the most, and that's the ones that get you into almost everything in their computer. So think about that. You could be sitting there going, oh yeah, my password is password 123. And then all of a sudden, it's the password that you use for every single thing. Numeric passwords, 9 times out of 10, it's the last 4 of your social. Or it's your anniversary. Or it's a birth date. It's almost always those 4. Huh?
You hate me.
Yes, I get that all the time. That's the problem. Is because of this, the industry is moving so quickly and hacking is becoming so easy. I mean, back in the old day when we used to do what's called brute force hacking, we used to actually run this thing called a dictionary, and we would just cram information, and it would take hours, sometimes even days, to break the password. Now, my mobile phone can break most passwords before you can get out of this room. So there's a lot of power, so we have to be a little more complicated. We have to inject a lot more with the uppercase, lowercase, symbols, numbers, and so forth. Now, to help you with that, sometimes it's easy just to remember license plate style passwords, number letter substitutions, where I is a 1, 0 versus O, 3 versus E, at versus A. These are great alternatives that help you remember. I'll get that. So the problem is, if you make it too complex, we understand this, you're going to forget, and then next thing you know, you're having someone like me come in and get you your password, and then you make a new one. Chances are it's going to be just as complicated, you're going to forget to write it down, and then we get to do it again and again and again. It happens all the time with people in their email, or they'll get onto the web and they'll go, I don't remember what my password is. Well, now we have to go through the process of bringing it back. So, key things to remember. Keep your password safe. Keep it away from the computer. If you have a safe or a lockbox that you can put it in, it keeps it separate, that's a great idea. You can also use a password program, and always change your passwords at least, are you ready for this? Weekly?
What?
Yes. I know people are like, oh man, I can't change it every week. That is the ideal opportunity to make sure that no one will ever get it. And you got to be careful also, because some people tend to fall into the same category of, well, if I use a password and then I just change the number on the end, well, eventually we figure that out too, and then all of a sudden we have all your passwords again. Hacking and security go hand in hand, but security starts with the user. You guys have to decide how secure you want to be, how protected you're going to be about your information, and what you're going to do to make it happen. So, let's recap. How often should you change your password? Every week. Weekly. What kind of password should you use? Yeah, they call it complex, actually. You can actually go in if you have a Google account, you can actually test your password strength by changing your password, and it'll show you a little bar showing you how strong it is. The longer the bar, the better. All right, and how long should a password be? 8 minimum of 8. Good, you guys are listening. This is awesome. All right, so do we have any questions?